Okay, this is going to be a quick demo of how to make a cube world where we can walk all around it. So here we have a default scene. You can see in there. Um, got my hands. I can see the shadow of them up ahead. Striped world, just simple, plain, nothing to it. All right, so here to create that scene, we've got our static body 3D that represents the floor, and it's got a collision mesh. It has a mesh shaped like a plane, and then it also has a collision shaped 3D. So we don't need any of that stuff. So we're just going to go ahead and get all of that, delete it. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our person. We're also going to take our light because we don't want them ending up in the middle of our cube land. And we're going to hit move and move these way up higher on the y-axis. So there they are floating in the air. Um, great. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new node. So I'll search node right here, and we'll just call this node world. It's going to have our world in it. And in here, we will add a new static body 3D. And we could add a cube mesh to this if we want to do it with just Godot primitives. But I've actually made this quick world in Blender, which is kind of like a cube-shaped world with these funny little colored trees on it. And the reason I designed it was to have something quick and simple that will solve a few problems. One is if our world is a sharp cube, these turns over the edge can be rough, so I beveled it. And then I put these different colored trees so we have something to bump into to test our collision, and also so we have different colors as we go around so we can make sure we're going somewhere. Because when gravity gets weird, you need visual references to know where you are, especially in VR. And especially when you're testing it in VR, you can choose to subvert that for your project. So here we go. I'm going to go to this GLB that I exported from Blender. Just drag that right in. And there it is, Cube World GLB. Just drag that right to the main node. And I can right click on that and choose the option Make Local. And there it is, Cube and Trees. I'm going to drag that into the static body. Missed. Let me do it again. There it is, under the static body. And then this parent node, we don't need it anymore, so we'll just delete that. So now we've got this little cube trees in here, and we will scale that up so we can see it. Notice I scale the mesh, I don't scale the body. So we'll scale that by 15 times, maybe more. Let's scale that by 25 times. A good size. We take our player and the sun and bring them back down a little lower. It'd be kind of fun to fall on the world, so we won't go too low. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the trees themselves and rotate them 180 so we can see that tree when we fall. So we don't have a collision yet. So we could add a mesh 3D and turn it into a collision, but another thing we can do that's really nice is just click on this mesh, and then there's this mesh option here, create collision mesh, create. And now you can see if we hide our thing, we've got this cool collision mesh created for it. Now, custom collision meshes work great for static objects, and they get really wild for active objects that you can pick up and knock around and stuff, active rigid bodies. So now let's test this. There we go, landing in our scene. So far, so good. Got these little shiny black spots, got the tree, and let's go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, there it goes. Bye-bye world. Okay, so let's get that working. So to get this working, we're gonna go back to this world node we created, and we're gonna press Control A and add an area 3D node. This also needs a collision, and we don't want the collision to be shaped like the trees and stuff. We want it to be shaped like a cube. So we'll press A again, and now we're gonna start a mesh instance 3D, and that is going to be a new box mesh, which we'll see. There it is. And we want to scale that way up. Oh, whoops, I made this a mesh instance, my bad. Um, meant to add collision shape 3D, not a mesh. There we go. And we will turn that into a new box shape. Scale that way up, way up, way up. It needs to be significantly larger than the world itself to create gravity around it. Now, let's take a look at a few things. So if we look at this area 3D, it has collision set, and it's set for layer 1, but it's also masking for layer 1. And if I go to my player, I look at my player body, my player masks to interact with layer 1, but it doesn't live on player 1. It lives on layer 1. It lives on layer 20. I also just happen to know that physics bodies, so things you can pick up or knock over or whatever, those live on channel 3 typically. So I'm going to, on this mask here, add channel 3 and channel 20. So this area can interact with both those things before I worry about anything else. Because if it's not interacting with the set subjects, it doesn't matter. So now we can go to this gravity tab, and here we're going to set it from disabled to replace. So it's going to replace the gravity. We're going to give it a central point. And for some reason, the default is not the center of the world, it's a tiny bit lower. So we'll set those all to 0. And now I think we're pretty much good to go. The only thing I might change is I might go on this light here and oh, shadows are on. Good, just making sure. Maybe I'll turn it to get more dramatic. Shadows around the world. Now you can see on the bottom, things get kind of dark because the sun isn't up there. So we could add one more light. I'm just going to add an omni light. Here between these trees. Scale it up so its light actually reaches the world. Set its color to be a little bit warmer. And its energy to be very high, so we can kind of see that something's going on there. And got some shadows there too. All right, so I've added a little flavor to it with the lights and stuff. Let's hit play. And we didn't test this earlier, but we can, boom, bump into the trees. So that's good. And now let's see, moment of truth. And there we go, just walking right over the edges. This way, the horizon goes sideways. It's pretty weird to experience this in VR itself, but that's sort of the point. Let's see if we can find the white trees, yellow light. There they are. So looking forward to see this in action.